Welcome back to Funny Read Alouds. Today we're going to read the story, Mr. Funny. Let's start. Mr. Funny lived in a teapot. He had 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, and a kitchen, and a living room, and it suited Mr. Funny very nicely. So here's this teapot-ified house. See, teapot-fortified house, so weird? Probably not. One day, Mr. Funny was having lunch. He wasn't very hungry, so he had a daisy sandwich and a glass of toast. Delicious, he murmured himself as he finished his funny lunch. I really like that wallpaper. After lunch, Mr. Funny decided to go for a drive in his car. Mr. Funny's car was a shoe. Have you ever seen a shoe? Have you ever seen a car that looks like a shoe? He looks very funny. Here's his shoe car. It actually looks so cool to me. As he drove along, everyone who saw him laughed at him because he was such a funny sight. He passed a worm at the side of the road. The worm thought Mr. Funny in his car was the funniest thing he'd ever seen. He nearly laughed himself in the dew. The worm is so funny. Even the flowers Mr. Funny passed thought he was the funniest thing they ever seen. They nearly laughed themselves off the ground. Even the flowers are laughing. But eventually, Mr. Funny came to an intersection. He didn't know which way to go, so he looked at the signs. One of the signs said, "To the zoo." That would be fun, thought Mr. Funny, so he drove his shoe towards the zoo. You don't know what an intersection is, it's like millions of directions. Once he arrived at the gate of the zoo, he stopped. It was closed. "Oh, I'm sorry," said the zookeeper. "We have closed the zoo because all this animal has goals, and they're all feeling very sorry for themselves." "Oh dear," said Mr. Funny. And then he thought of a moment. "Perhaps I can help cheer him up," he said. "Well," said the zookeeper, "it's worth a try." He opened the gate. So you can see this is the zookeeper. Mr. Funny drove to the zoo in his shoe. First thing he saw was an elephant. It was true. The elephant was very, very sorry for himself. Very sorry indeed. Mr. Funny looked at the sad-looking elephant, and the sad-looking elephant looked at him. Oh dear. See, the elephant is really sad too. Then you know what he did? He made a face. A funny face. Mr. Funny, as you imagine, is very good at making funny faces. The elephant giggled. She never seen anything funny before. Mr. Funny made another funny face. The elephant burst out laughing. Looks like the face you want to puke. That's my face when I want to puke. Phil laughed and laughed and laughed. She laughed so hard she nearly laughed her trunk off. She felt a whole lot better. Mr. Funny went over to the lion house. See, the elephant was having a great old time laughing. There was a lion, very, very sorry for himself. Mr. Funny looked at the sad-looking lion, and the sad-looking lion looked at him. Oh, dear. Then Mr. Funny made the funniest-looking face that's probably ever been anywhere else. Ever. Now, I've heard of a lion roar before, haven't you? Well, this lion roared, too, with laughter. He laughed so hard he nearly laughed his whiskers to pieces. Then Mr. Funny went around to see all the other animals in the zoo. Oh dear, what a miserable-looking bunch. For all of them, Mr. Funny made funnier and funnier faces. The big brown bear giggled and burst out laughing. The giraffe laughed so hard she nearly laughed her neck into a knot. Then the hippopotamus nearly laughed himself out of his skin. And the penguins nearly laughed their flippers off. Floppy. And the leopard, well, you really should have seen him. He laughed so hard he nearly laughed his spots off. What craziness! Oh, what? Oh, Mr. Funny, giggled the zookeeper. Oh, Mr. Funny, thank you very much for coming to cheer us up. Oh, it's nothing, really, replied Mr. Funny modestly, and then he drove off. Even the giraffe is laughing. And his shoe! Later, when Mr. Funny arrived at home, he chuckled to himself. Well, he said, that was the end of another funny day. Then he parked the shoe inside of his teapot because he was feeling very thirsty, and he made himself a nice hot cup of cake. You can see it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this long but short book. Well, that was a little bit about Mr. Funny. There's also, I found why the story was written. So, Mr. Funny was trying to make everyone laugh and was successful. The thing was that if you're depressed or something, if you're like really sad, just try to cheer yourself up by watching something on YouTube or something. Or hang out with friends or something, or just call your friends and they'll cheer you up somehow. Or get your parents to cheer you up and talk to someone. Talk to someone. Why are you so upset? Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, guys.